Good day everyone, and welcome back to Minecraft. Now, if you've clicked on this video, then I can only imagine that you are looking for an advice on how to build a house. My current house is missing a bit of a texture, which is rather unfortunate, but it happens to the best of us. Fortunately, I am here to educate you on how to build something that looks a little bit less janky than this. I'm the Name Shifter, and welcome to my house tutorial. Now, first thing that you want to do is to basically grab a palatable amount of blocks that you can use in order to make your house basically stand out as much as humanly possible. Fortunately, we are playing in the latest version, 1.21.8, and generally speaking, there's quite a few blocks right now to choose from, so pick whatever suits your fancy, but please consider the following. Any of the logs. Logs are a great way to start off building a house of any kind, realistically. Be it birch logs, or spruce logs, or oak logs, or whatever else really suits your fancy. You can go stripped if you particularly want something that looks a bit more unique, or you want a specific color, because as it happens, there are currently 8 different log types, not including the ones that stem from quite literally the nether fungi. Haha, stem. Now, what I like to make whenever I start building a house is a bit of a foundation first, because it helps to visualize exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. In addition to just being a helpful little visualization tool, it helps establish a particular style and a particular just everything about what you want your house to be and how you want it to look. For instance, I chose a bit of a white, well, I say white, what's it, 17 by 17, I believe, block base, which I'm going to make in a circle just so I can have a wee bit of a free space in order to do whatever it is that I want to do. Now, I haven't necessarily decided quite yet what I want to do. This is just me experimenting with a few different bits and pieces. You can just create a bit of an entrance path in order for your house to actually be accessible in your survival world. The second block type that you would normally want to add to your Minecraft block palette would be any kind of stone, because stone is, well, that's kind of important. Stone is abundant, stone is, and above all else, it is a staple of every single medieval building out there. All right, I think this is going to be a pretty decent foundation for what I want to do. Now, as for the house itself, because this is kind of like the, I almost want to say basement, even though it's not really that much of a basement. It's kind of like the foundation more than anything. And while I could probably make a pretty decent work of the foundation alone, I would rather it be a full house. Personally, one of my favorite shapes to go for when it comes to houses like these is something that resembles either a T, kind of like the current footprint, an L, which would just be like a angular house, something of a kind at least, or better yet, just something straight. If you really are unsure as to what you want to do, just building something straight can make it reasonably good to practice. and also it's going to be a house that's going to utilize quite a bit of tough, I have decided. Because, again, personally, I find tough to be one of the nicest stone blocks currently in the game, especially if you have to choose between polished and tough bricks. These guys are borderline game changers. If it weren't for the the obvious grid that the tough creates, the polished tough, I would probably say that it's one of my favorites, because one of the things with cobblestone is that it doesn't have that same grid. Because of that, it doesn't pop quite as much. Like, it doesn't flow on the same-ish level. But it also doesn't seem to be... it doesn't work quite as seamlessly as, tough would. I'm mixing some of these, like, regular stripped oak logs and whatnot, just to give it a bit more of a textured look. Maybe the stripped oak is going to be the well-preserved parts as opposed to anything else. And also, once again, to just prove my point, as it were, I love this tough, specifically polished tough, because it looks very... It looks like a nice transition between, like, proper medieval, or, like, rustic, to still quite modern. And in a similar sense to this, like, oak door. Like, this kind of door, I personally wouldn't really put on anything that is supposed to be medieval or like, at any degree, rustic. However, in conjunction with tough, specifically, it does work quite wonderfully. It's a wonderful block, and it's a wonderful aesthetic that I'm going for. And I think that if you are struggling to decide whether or not you want to go particularly fancy, or maybe, run down, or even just struggling to figure out what you want to create more than anything, tough is going to be one of your best friends when it comes to picking something nice, figuring out what works and what doesn't, and just allowing you the creative range and freedom that is so necessary when approaching something that you're not entirely set in stone for. I'm really hoping that Eric is going to speed this up, because currently I'm not saying a whole lot. Can I place flowers on moss? I think I can. Actually, here's a better question. Can I put... Alright, Eric, you can leave this in. I misclicked, and now there's water everywhere. The water is very symbolic of my pain. This is gonna make the short of, like, hey, new tutorial coming on Saturday. Oh boy, how did I do this again? I'm gonna put some, like, cornflower. Yeah, and tell you what. Actually, yeah, these are better. Now, I trust that Eric hasn't removed this section from the video, but if you're wondering as to why I've used these, I mean, even like this is the coolest looking block in the game. I may be biased, but I don't care. Fight me on this one. I've been a mythology, specifically a Greek mythology nerd for most of my entire life. I am not going back on this one. This is the coolest looking block in the game just because it evokes that sort of Greek aesthetic. Fight me. Just kidding, don't fight me. I'm not actually that. Although, I don't know. I don't think that I've been in a fight in the last several years. I probably wouldn't hold my own. You can probably knock me down with a singular attack. Does this look good? I think it does. I think that this is about as much as I want to make out of the actual bulk of the house. I could go. I should probably go just a singular block taller, just so I can have a wee bit of a room to play with when it comes to the roof. And with the roof, I'm going to just make a simple low A-frame. Now, admittedly, this kind of hey, let's build you up like very tall kind of roof is quite interesting, and for all intents and purposes, it is an acquired taste, at least in my experience. But I find that it works surprisingly well if you let it play out. I also really want to actually place a wee bit of a ring, even if it goes here somehow. I know that it's not the same height, but realistically it does not need to be the same height because, well, it's just I forgot that my hand was on the mouse. It doesn't need to be the same height because these are two different sections, admittedly of the same house, but still. I do kinda just want to fill this in because I think that I'm gonna have a wee bit of what's the words? A plan, an idea of sorts. This is going to be a small little window. I say small, it's 9 blocks. Can you imagine a 3x3 window IRL? That's going to be huge. Create a bit of an overhang for this one. I realized that I've completely obstructed the spruce little thing, but I don't particularly care at this point. Now, the big question is whether or not I want to go for the chain or something different. Is there anything that I could do? Oh yeah, iron bars exist. Perfect. Yeah. This works wonders. Not only is this a flower-esque area, It is also one of the times where you get to do things. I lost my train of thought almost immediately. Uh, what's the theming for today? Cornflower? Yeah, there we go. Actually, tell you what, I don't want it to be cornflower. I want to make full use of the new wildflowers. Now, is there anything else that I would wish to add outside of just more flowers? I think that's a bit of a given. One thing that I do like to add is lighting. And whenever I actually add lighting, I hit one of my models on the desk. Whenever I actually add lighting, I like to make it suspended. Now, normally, what you would want to do is suspend your things anyway, because, well, it's a lantern. But just having one that's hanging from like nothing, feels, or at least it has always felt like a bit of a cop-out for me. So instead of just leaving it hanging, I like to hang them on like a wall or a fence or anything of a kind, realistically. Just so there's always stuff that supports your thingies. And yeah, I think we can proceed on to adding things like windows and stuff. Now this, whenever you make a house, you get to decide what part of windows you're going to utilize. I personally am quite partial to the muted colors of light and dark gray. And it's not even because I'm a Bionicle fan, and 90% of the sets featured either light or dark gray to some extent or another. I just like how muted these look and how realistic they are. I think I forgot to leave the place for to leave space for a fireplace. That one is on me. Tip number whatever. Don't forget to leave place for a fireplace. Kind of important. Or at least, if you're planning on building a fireplace, you don't necessarily need to plan for one, but it helps. It helps. Also, I just remembered this house is entirely wooden, so having a fireplace may not necessarily make sense. But that's alright. Right? It's fine. It's whatever. You can make your fireplaces in a wooden house. It's not like anything is going to catch on fire in a video game, right? Pro tip for like chimneys and stuff. Make them wonky. I know that this is a game, and I know that there is no fire to begin with, but it helps to make them wonky. One of the most important things that you can do in order to facilitate your build as part of the environment is to actually integrate it into your environment. And one of my personal favorites, Eric will attest to this, is making a watermill. because it combines two things that I like the most: wheels and water. I know that may come as a surprise to people, but I like water, despite being a Redditor. That's a terrible joke. Eric, do not keep that. I think this is a decent wheel. The only problem is that it's too thin. Do I have what it takes to fix this? Actually, probably. My favorite thing is water wheels, he said. Let's build one, he said. I messed this up again. There we go. It's a bit too angular, but it serves its purpose really well. Oh, reasonably well. Now, this next part does necessitate us to break the symmetry, which is rather unfortunate. Do I care about that? Not when it really counts as like a, hey, this is going to be a big part of the build. Let's not do that, shall we? Yeah, ideally what you would want to do is you would want to have water that goes kind of like this. And maybe to a certain extent that still can be arranged. I don't really know if this counts as a tutorial anymore. I think this is just me losing track amidst several hardships, namely my inability to keep a coherent train of thought for like 5 minutes straight. But that's why you watch me. This is not the block. There we go. Maybe something like this. Yeah. Could have done that beforehand. For whatever reason I didn't. Sucks to suck. Now, with this any bigger scale, I probably would advise that you make like a couple more embellishment bits. Unfortunately, I only really work with, what is it, 19 by 19, so not a whole lot of space, unfortunately. 54 minutes. Considering how much time that I've spent just yapping and going off topic and just overall not having a good time, I would actually argue that that can be probably trimmed down to, I don't know. Eric, how long do you think it's going to make? Just adding some, a few more finishing touches by making this thing a bit more rustic than it was originally. Actually, this is a good time to mention this little thingy. I know that I've seen people use stairs and slabs to achieve this sort of crack effect. But I've only been I've only really used I've only really seen people use like one or two stairs. I think that these like cracks that go from like cracks that form through 3 blocks are really cool, and I really would like there to be a bit more people that utilize that. Maybe I'm the only one that finds them cool, but it is something that I am quite partial for. So I'd like to include them whenever I build my houses. Outside of simply decorating the bottommost bit, the foundation, with a bit more andesite and maybe a bit of stone for texture, I think that I'm pretty much done. Or at least from the perspective of what I wanted to accomplish here. I like the wildflowers. I really do like the wildflowers. The recent, I almost called it a patch. The recent updates that brought us the wildflowers is remarkably just cool. I didn't expect it to be quite as cool as it ended up being, but like, it's unironically one of my favorites now, just because of all of the decorative blocks that it brought, like wildflowers and cactus flowers and what was the last thing? The bush, the living bush. Yeah, that thing is cool. And just as a little, because I did grow up in a Slavic country. Let's play an homage to that, eh? Now, this isn't necessarily how I would construct a true Slavic lantern. Do I care? Not exceptionally. Shroom light. What am I looking for? Blackstone. I just realized that I had it in my inventory. And also I remembered what I was searching for, because of course I have. Is this anything? It's a bit too top heavy, I think. Maybe I just... Yeah, you know what? You know what? Also not particularly interesting. I had to get this right. This is awfully flat for my liking. You know what? It's not authentic in the least, but I kind of like it. I don't really know what it's supposed to represent, but I mean, I do like it. Now, people would have seen my people that have seen my video on how to make the statues, which you should. It's a cool video. I spent a lot of time making it. Eric spent a lot of time editing it. May see this and go like, hey, I know this one. And you'd be right. You do know this one, because it's the same technique that I've used to texture that one oversized, overbite guy. For this one, we're just creating some like smooth stone and andesite texture variation, so that it's not all quite so samey. If you somehow felt even more fancy than what I'm currently showing you, you could even go a step further and introduce things like, oh, I don't know, dead corals to, you know, create even more of a texture than perhaps I'm creating right now. Basically, just bring things to life. I know that sounds like, it might sound like a phrase, finish the rest of the owl, but it's not really that difficult. All you need to do is some strategically placed blocks that signify the weathering of stone, uh, the weathering of stone, some texture on some cliffs, some rough edges. Basically make sure that it doesn't that it doesn't look handmade if it's not meant to look handmade. If it is, then by all means go for it. Create all of the clean edges and sharp cuts and geometric shapes and whatnot, but if it's not, you can just roughen everything up. There's not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of things that people are going to be able to do if you want to do that. It's not like there's going to be a sharp edge police. Freeze! Put your hands in the air. No. Things like that, at least for now, don't happen. Did I? I did. Cool. Yeah, see? Already looks better. Already looks marvelous. For some final finishing touches, I think... Do I actually think that I like it? Yes. I like the roof. I like the shape of the house. I like the watermill. I like the execution of the base. And just as a whole, I really did enjoy building this thing. Even though it probably took me a bit too long for my own personal liking. It's still a gorgeous looking house. So yeah, I'll let the shaders and some miscellaneous bits and pieces do the rest of the work for me. But for now, I bid you farewell.